Kimber finishes his point.
2017 World Cup, where the West Indies won the toss. I can't remember who their captain was. It might have been Stefani Taylor, and she actually chose the wrong option. She meant to say bat, and she said bowl, and she said straight away to Meg Lanning, "Sorry, I've said the wrong thing." Meg Lanning said, "I don't care." Would not let her retract it at all, and Meg Lanning just kept, and like, if you've ever met Meg Lanning, there's nothing getting through that. There's nothing you could have said. So we have seen teams say, "No, you've done that wrong." So England, perhaps with that team sheet, could have said, "No, that was the team you picked, and what a shame you forgot to pick your best batter for this game."
Would Owen Morgan have done it against Australia or India?
It's an interesting point. Tell you what, the most interesting toss story that I've experienced was a retoss. You ever seen a retoss? You ever seen a match referee order a retoss?
2011 World Cup, we had one in the final.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not the one I was thinking of. I wasn't there live for that one. 29 for 1, 4 to Dawid Malan. So Philippe Boissevain, the leg spinner, wasn't able to save that one cleanly. Still a slip and a gully in for the Netherlands. Malan pushes up towards mid-off, sets off for a single and makes it easily as Aryan Dutt does the fielding. It's just a one-day international between Pakistan and South Africa. Salim Malik was the Pakistan captain. Chris Broad was the match referee, and as the coin went up, Salim Malik said, as the coin landed, Mr. Broad turned to Salim Malik and said, "What did you say?" And he said, he saw what it was, and he said, "Heads." He said, no, you can't have that. We'll have a retoss. So maybe he just had something stuck in his throat. Logan van Beek in once again, and this is pushed up again to Aryan Dutt at mid-on, and England move up to 31 for 1. The first of 3 one-day internationals, exclusively live, ball by ball, across the TalkSport network. 3 one-day internationals. The series counts towards the World Cup Super League. The first game today, we're underway, we're in the 5th over, the second game on Sunday, and the third on Wednesday. All exclusively live, ball by ball, here on the TalkSport network. England losing the toss and being asked to bat first. It's a festive day at the Amstelveen cricket ground outside Amsterdam. 5,500 this ground contains, and I must say it's really filling up and festive, and the beer is flowing, and as are the pancakes and waffles. I don't know if they flow. There's a steady supply of them. Forward comes Van Beek once again and pushes it towards cover. Max ODowd fields, and there's no run.
What's this tour done for, or will it do for Netherlands cricket? It had the West Indies, and now England.
Yeah, I'm delighted to see so many people there, and my presumption would be majority are English people.
There's a lot of the touring groups.
Yeah.
A lot of the touring groups who haven't been away for a long time have managed to sort of to go over.
Van Beek in once again, pitching leg towards middle. It's punched nicely by Dawid Malan down the ground. Tom Cooper is the fielder. Well, we know he's definitely playing because he's on the field. We still haven't seen Teja Nidamanuru. At least that's Musa Ahmed running back with Tom Cooper. So we're still not 100% sure of the starting 11, or are we?
No, we're sure. So
sorry.
He's certain. Nidamanuru is definitely
Tom
not
Cooper's
playing.
Yeah,
Tom Cooper is definitely in the 11.
And Nidamanuru?
He's definitely not in the 11.
Okay, right. We are 100% certain.
I mean, when I say 100% certain, we're like 88% certain. They could still change the team. Maybe they go and talk to Eoin later and say, "Do you know what? We made another error. Can we bring in an extra player?"
I just say, man, is seeing that graphic there, you got Owen Morgan, Moeen, Ali and Jason Roy sitting outside what is essentially a football training ground. And I think it sums up the match. I'm being serious. They would be used to being waited on hand and foot in lovely facilities, and I think this is a good example of how different the Dutch have it, and the setup there. You can see that door there will lead through a very cramped little passage with a few basins in it, and then to essentially a football dressing room, all on one level. And that's a good picture of how different the setup in Netherlands is, and what the players have to deal with in terms of professionalism and facilities.
Shane Snater, the bowler, 6th over, and that's punched off the pads by Malan behind square on the leg side, and they go through for a single. When I first went to Amstelveen in 1994, And I optimistically looked around and I asked an official who I thought was an official. Anyway, he seemed to be busy, and I said, "Can you tell me where the media area is, please?" And he said, "The what?" He said, "What do you need?" I said, "Well, somewhere to put my laptop." And he said, "Well, I'll see what I can do." And he went off and found a little table, took it out of the bar, and set me up. Here is Snater once again, and that one is pushed actually towards mid-off. Tom Cooper does the fielding. It's come on a bit since then, but I've got very fond memories of the clubhouse.
They do a great temporary setup. You can see the marquees there in the decked area. And just to go back to Harmy's point, this is a massive week for Dutch cricket in terms of the finances and the coffers. And it's lucky that the English are so good at travelling, and they look pretty thirsty as well. So hopefully they turn a little bit of money that they can plough back into the game.
Here's Shane Snater once more, 25-year-old. Bit of bounce there. There is a bit of bounce. I mean, it's a bit tennis bally, but
just sitting in the pitch, isn't it? It's just standing up, and then slow club wicket, just standing up that little bit, which Jason Roy, hands in front of himself, got done. Phil Salt took maybe 6 or 7 balls to get going, and he got done. I remember we lost in Nat West or a Benson Hedges game there. David Boone. We went on to win nine championship games in a row after we got beat, but that was the lowest point. Never forget that, sitting in the corridor.
Snater in towards the thigh pad, punched away by Salt to Vikramjit Singh at mid-wicket, and they go through for 1.
It would have been 99, and we got 200, just over 200. We batted poorly. I remember me and Simon Brown bowled our overs at the start to try and make inroads, and they got them. Holland got them, and I'll never forget. This dressing room attendant, great old fella, kept bringing like the plastic jugs, which were about like 6-pint pitchers. It was David Boone, Norman Giver, myself, Chubb, Simon Brown.
Snater in again, flicked by Malan off his pads for another single, 37 for 1.
And we can hear the Dutch singing and dancing. It's like a big thing to beat a first-class county. At the time, we were just about a first-class county, Durham, and I've never seen a ball broken, man. And I'm sitting as a, 21-year-old? Yeah, very naive, looking at one of the greatest players of Australian modern generation, sitting there, glum-faced, absolutely deaf. He was so disappointed that we're getting beaten this game. It was David Boone.
Snater in once again, and it's flicked out towards Vikram Singh at mid-wicket.
You'd have thought he had just lost the Ashes. Honestly, he was. That's how high a regard I rate. I have for Booney, because
and there were 6-pint pitchers of beer going round, and he was ignoring them.
No, he wasn't. That's one thing he would never do. There was about 4 or 5 of us sitting, but the old guy kept coming with these 6-pint pitchers and putting them down. And we were like, we're getting beat, ain't we? So win or lose, at the booze, bang, kept going. And we sat there all night. This bloke just kept bringing these beers, just bringing these big jugs through. And so that's my memory of Amstelveen. And we got beat. It was embarrassing from a Durham point of view. But then we never lost a game for the rest of that season, which was a kick up the backside we needed.
Well, that's the end of the first 6 overs. England are 37 for 1 with Dawid Malan on 11, Philippe Salt on 24. Jared Kimball was just about to say something, I think. If you can remember what it was, Jared, while you do that, Andrew McKenna will take over from me.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about professionalism in the Dutch side, where I heard there was one player who asked for business class back in the day, Tendo, and the Dutch ball were very upset that the player had asked for them. I don't know if you know who that player was at all, but there's a big difference between how the Dutch prepare and how the rest of the world prepare. From breakfast, where you all have breakfast together, to the boombox that I was told in the old days that someone used to put a boombox on their shoulder and you used to go out and do your warm-ups in parks. It's a completely different system.
Peter Seelaar's bringing himself on to bowl, left arm over, his slow left spin, and it's turned by Dawid Malan on the leg side, and there is no run.
Yeah, I caught up with Ryan Cook, subsequent to him taking over, and one of the things he said, he went to the first training and there were no waters or little bars, and he said, look, it's not going to make a big difference, but in terms of how you make the players feel, and he said he insisted on it, and he noticed a big difference.
Seelaar in, left arm over once again. Dawid Malan goes on the reverse, dabs it down to third man. Boissevain will do the fielding, and they've taken a single. 38 for 1 are England against the Netherlands here on TalkSport 2.
And then just to go back to the boombox, I remember we're staying in Maida Vale during there must have been the 2007 or 9 World Cup, and the physio got us all up at 7 in the morning, just like down a council estate in the car park, and just bang this music on. We're like, what about all the people who are living in these flats? He didn't care, but I think it was meant to be a good team bonding little thing. I'm not sure how it went down at the pros.
Seelaar left arm around to Salt, and there's some air on that one, and Salt has flat batted it through wide mid-off all along the floor for a boundary 4. Salt goes to 28 from just 21 balls. England 42 for 1.
Good shot by Philippe Salt again. He's waited on it nicely. A little bit above his eye line, a little bit fuller than he probably wanted it. He possibly thought he could have come down the wicket a little bit wider, and he's just guided it through extra cover. A good shot by Phil Salt. Good start by Phil Salt.
He waits as Seelaar comes in, and once again it's hit to mid-off, well, deep mid-off, because Van Beek has dropped back outside of the circle, so it is now just a single. So 6 from the over already, 4 balls in, 43 for 1. You were just talking about stories from the toss. I think I may be able to trump all of them with a story from a rugby game this season. Seelaar is in. Malan is pushing back down the pitch, no run to the bowler. Montpellier against Harlequins in the European Cup at the Stoop, southwest London. They had to do the toss 3 times this season. I'll explain more after this. Seelaar is in. Oh, that's down the leg side. Well stopped by Scott Edwards, the wicket keeper, but it will be a wide.
Referee not understand the French word for heads or tails?
No, well, there was, I think, a language issue, as the Scottish referee flipped the coin and invited the Montpellier captain to call. In goes Seelaar, pushing out on the offside is Malan. No run. End of 7 overs, 44 for 1 here on TalkSport 2. So he flipped the coin the first time, and the French captain caught it for reasons that no one could quite understand. So the referee said, no, give me the coin back. It's mimed, flipping it and pointed at the floor as if to say it's got to hit the floor. Flicks it the second time, coin hits the floor, Montpellier captain hasn't called. So the referee then sort of has to mime again, no, I call and I flip the coin and you call while it's in the air. Third time round we got there. And he lost the toss, by the way.
I could understand if a Frenchman flipped the coin and a Scotsman caught it and put it in his pocket.
I think in fairness, he wasn't the regular captain, he was the stand-in, but you would have thought that he might have been able to have understood it. I did have a couple of words with the English boys who play for Montpellier afterwards, and because they were in the dressing room at the time, they didn't realise that had gone on, and they said, oh, thank you so much for telling us that. We're going to enjoy that one. Right, 44 for 1 after 7 overs, England. Put into bat by the Netherlands. It's TalkSport 2. But don't forget, of course, that you can get us on your DAB radio, your smart speaker, via the app, whatever you need. Stay in touch with us throughout the day. If you're heading out later on, maybe got to pick the kids up from school, get the app downloaded now, whatever you need to do to stay in touch, because there's 3 games coming your way. Snater's going to start the 8th over. Salt guiding this to third man. Salt will take a single. He goes to 30 from 23. England 45 for 1.
Very impressed by Phil Salt, the way he's gone about this first, the opening part of the power play. He went hard at it as he normally does, and early, and then he's assessed the surface as not coming on as nicely, and he's just let the ball come to him that split second longer, and his timing and his balance looks very, very good, and it's not a man under pressure, but a man trying to stake it clear.
Snater, right arm over seamer, pushed by Dawid Malan, punch drive up to Van Beek at mid-off. Van Beek as well going away to his right-hand side, and there's no run.
A slightly more subdued start than what we used to with England, but I think that's assessing the conditions well. I find when I'm coaching youngsters, or even at county level, I say, we want to play like England, but they don't understand that you don't always get the facilities. When England are playing ODI cricket or T20 cricket, it's generally on absolute belters, and they've got the guys who can do it all the way through. So I think this is a good assessment of conditions.
Malan is pushing back down the pitch to Snater, and there is no run on this occasion. Just recap the teams for you. England: Jason Roy, Phil Salt, Dawid Malan, Eoin Morgan, Jos Buttler, Liam Livingstone, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran, David Willey, Adil Rashid and Reece Topley. And interestingly, there was some thought that Jos Buttler might be batting at 4, but I have seen that Eoin Morgan is on the balcony with his pads on. So it does look like that Eoin Morgan, on the scorecard at 4, might well come in at 4. Malan will turn this through square leg for a single. Well fielded out on the boundary, gets it back underway quickly. 46 for 1. Malan goes to 13 from 16.
Yeah, there's flexibility in this England batting lineup. They could be sitting there both pads on because they've got left and right hand combination all the way through. You know, they've got Malan and Salt at the crease at the minute. You've got Buttler, as well as Morgan, as well as Moeen Ali, who all are competent enough to bat in the top 3, top 4.
Snater in, right arm over, Salt hits straight and beats mid-on, and it goes away for 4. Lovely shot, not quite as classical as the straight drive earlier, but good enough to bring up the England 50. 50 for 1 after 7 overs and 5 balls.
Lovely shot by Phil Salt, just waited on it, just a touch. Right shoulder wanted to come in, his right shoulder, from a coaching point of view, Ryan, his right shoulder wanted to come in. Slowness of the pitch, he's just corrected himself and got enough on it.
Yes, Snater's rolled his fingers across there on a slow ball as he comes in again.
Turned on the onside, this time fielded short mid-wicket by Vikramjit Singh, no run.
I think the Dutch have been pretty smart here going to slow balls. They tried to bounce early on, they got put away by Salt. Had a good look at the wicket, and I think they realise now pace off. The skipper's brought himself on as well. And Jared, I know I haven't watched 50 over cricket for a long time, but I'd say Pieter Seelaar is quite reluctant to bowl himself in the power play, certainly in T20 cricket. I don't know if you got more info on that. Historically, has he bowled much in the power plays in 50 over cricket?
Oh, I had a look, but I don't think it's his normal game plan. No, he likes to bowl in the middle. He's been pushing himself up the order, so he's giving himself every job he can. He's becoming the new Byron, isn't he? Driving the team in the bus in the morning. But it is quite interesting. The other thing I was about to ask you actually, is about Snater. He bowled an off-cutter slow ball in that over and a leg cutter slow ball in that over.
Seelaar to start the new over. Down the pitch comes Malan. Goes inside out. Over long off for 6. Malan is elected not to let the skipper settle. First ball goes into the forest. And this could be a feature of this game today because it's not the biggest boundaries. And against the West Indies, we did lose a few balls. Vikramjit Singh was responsible for a couple of little flicks off of his hip that flew over this boundary and down into the forest. Fortunately, the Netherlands Cricket Association are quite wise to this, and they actually have a team who are stationed down there to actually follow the ball, a bit like golf spotters really, as much as anything else. They work out where the ball is and then try and retrieve it. The problem is there is a small stream/river that is a potential issue, so let's just hope that the ball hasn't gone into that. But it's a nice shot all the same, Ryan.
Yeah, it's a lovely shot, and Malan's out the blocks pretty quickly as well. I think with England's plan, which is generally aggressive, accumulate aggressive, Malan maybe finds himself in middle ground here in terms of how he's going to go about it. I think he is someone, if England are going to play an aggressive brand throughout, that he might struggle to make the team. If you think that Bairstow and Stokes can still come into this lineup as well. Maybe this is a shift in approach from him, and this is obviously his matchup facing the left arm spinner. Comes down the wicket, doesn't really get to the pitch of the ball, but it's good enough to hit through it. And like I said, those boundaries there are pretty small, straight, and we're going to lose some balls today. I think when Livingstone comes in, I think we need to look at landmarks that he might hit rather than just the immediate vicinity, because that man hits a long ball.
Yeah, well, don't forget we are right at the end of the runway of Schiphol Airport, so there might be a few planes in danger this afternoon when Liam Livingstone has a go. I mentioned Vikramjit Singh there, by the way. He will open the batting for the Netherlands. Had a really good time against the West Indies. Scores of 47, 46 and 54 at a good strike rate. He almost plays a sort of an IPL brand of opening batting. So let's hope England get a score and he can get himself underway. We have a ball.
Lovely boy.
And Pieter Seelaar will send it down left arm over. Dawid Malan will clip to mid-on for a comfortable single. 57 for 1. Harmy and Ryan have moved out. Darren Goffer's moved in alongside into the commentary chair for the first time with me this morning. Goffy, very good morning.
Good morning, Macca. Good to see you again, my friend.
How are you? How's it all going in the wide world of being an official? Seelaar in, left arm around the wicket,
it's lovely,
back
mate.
foot is Salt, punch into mid-off for a single.
Well, I think it's been enjoyable watching the cricket matches. When you look at the way Malan's played for us this year, he's been outstanding. And I get what you were saying earlier. You know, one of the things about him, and I think he realises when he's with England, one of the criticism is he can take up too many balls.
Seelaar in, left arm over, worked around the corner by Malan, but straight to Vikramjit Singh at backward square leg, no run.
When he first comes to the crease, he's very watchful, but he can make up for lost time later on in the innings. But I'll tell you what, he's opened the batting for us in T20 and he's been outstanding.
Seelaar in once again, off the back foot is Malan, and ODowd will field no run.
So he had a different approach. He got out, caught long off first ball the other day against, I think it was, I can't remember, it might have been Lancashire actually, but I'll tell you what, it was a good shot.
Seelaar is in, that one's a little bit straighter, Malan's able to turn it to long on. Van Beek will do the fielding, just a single. 59 for 1 after 9 overs here on TalkSport 2. Don't forget, of course, lots of cricket coming your way on TalkSport 2. International cricket with Ireland's games against India, South Africa and New Zealand. 3-match series in this, all 3 matches. And plenty of cricket for a few weeks. Jared Kimber.
Just to follow up on Ryan's point as he was leaving, he asked me how much Seelaar has bowled in the power play in one-day internationals. This is only the third one-day international he's ever bowled in the power play. That was his second over. Before this game, he bowled 4 overs in the power play of one-day international. So certainly not something he does normally. I'm assuming it's a match-up issue.
Okay, Baz de Leede coming into the bowling now for his first of the morning. Bowled at a decent lick actually in the games against the West Indies, and was actually the quickest bowler for the Netherlands in those games. Sort of quite a shouldery bowler, that's where he gets his pace from. He's going to be right arm over to the left-handed Dawid Malan. Best of 2 for 46 came in the second of the one-day internationals against the West Indies. That came from 8 overs. He's got 4 wickets at 51 in his career. In he comes, that's down the leg side, and that will be a wide, signalled by Paul Rifle. 64.
Yeah, never a good start when you start with a wide or a no ball. Quick approach to the crease. Quite skinny, nice bit of bounce in this wicket actually. Looks an absolute belter, by the way. So it's not a bad pitch to be batting first, and it's also not a bad pitch to be chasing on, as long as you can restrict the score for the Netherlands.
Well, the games that we've seen over the last month or so, it doesn't really deteriorate. It's just a little bit on the slow side. Oh, that's a drive and a miss by Dawid Malan. De Leede's beaten the outside edge with an 85-mile-an-hour delivery. On the second bounce, though, through to Keeper Edwards. Yes, so maybe a little bit quicker, but we were saying during the West Indies games that might actually be a deliberate ploy by the Netherlands, because if you know you're outpaced, why give the opposition a quick pitch to use?
Well, yeah, you play to your strengths, don't you? And when you play against the Netherlands, bits and pieces type cricketers.
De Leede is in, Malan is on his toes, just guiding this to third man for a single. 61 for 1.
We know they're going to be competitive, they know they're going to fight for every run in the field. They're going to play as a team. We've seen that for many years for the Netherlands. Our very own commentator was with us, Ryan Tenniscarter. He did exactly that for the teams he played at, especially Essex, where I was a teammate of his. Unbelievable. Bat, bowl, field, everything was done at 100 miles an hour.
Absolutely.
Except the bowling.
Yes, exactly. Well, there have only been 3 meetings between the Netherlands and England before, and Ryan was player of the match in one of them. Salt turning to Leede through square leg for 1. Thinking of a second, taking on the arm, and we'll get there very, very comfortably in the end. 2 taken by Salt, 63 for 1. He goes to 37 to Salt. February of 2011 in the World Cup in Nagpur. Netherlands posted 292 for 6. Ryan Tenniscarter, 119 from 110. And also took 2 for 47. England did knock them off with 8 balls to spare, but Ryan got player of the match in that game. De Leede is in. On his toes is Salt, punch into mid-off, and takes a single, 64 for 1.
I know when you look at this England side, you know, with some of the test players that are obviously not on this tour, it's a big opportunity for them because it's such an hard starting 11 to pick. In fact, it's such an hard 14 or 15 players to pick in any squad. And you look at the players that could come back in. It's such a big series for some of the players who are on the fringe of that main squad.
Leede coming into the left-handed. Malan has gone across his stumps. Oh, and poor rifle done Leede there. Malan has gone across his stumps. It has missed the leg pole by a coat of varnish, and poor rifle has called that wide.
Yeah, a little bit harsh, isn't it? I mean, he's gone right across outside. He's off stump, and it's just we're talking a lick of paint, aren't we? There, we're talking nothing. And a bit harsh there.
I mean, I'm looking around the commentary box. I know we're full of bowlers here today, but my goodness, that's a ridiculously harsh call. Down the leg side, now that one is a wide. He's gone short and wide. And Paul Rifle actually thought about that one. I don't know why, because that was a long way wide.
The last one, it actually almost bounces over the stumps if you have a good look at it because of the angle. That's a shocking call from Paul Rifle, who was at the test match last week, wasn't he? I see so many of the commentators and the umpires. Richie Richardson was at the test match last week as well. They've all just jumped off on a plane straight over.
Well, I'll tell you what, as a former bowler, an umpire, he's not showing the brotherhood much love there. Leede is in. Malan turns through square leg. ODowd will field, and it will be just a single, 67 for 1.
It's not a bad weekend break, though, is it? You've had a 5 days in Nottingham and just pop over to the Netherlands for a long weekend.
Yeah,
can't be bad.
One party city to another one. I mean, bring a spare liver, obviously, but yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. 1 ball left of the 10th over. The first block of 10. And Leede is into the right-handed Salt, who punches hard back at the bowler, but he will field in his follow-through, so there's no run. So 67 for 1 are England at the end of the first power play. So we'll now go into the next phase of the game. I mentioned that England and the Netherlands have played 3 times. The first one, 1996, February, Peshawar in the World Cup. Coffee, do you remember that particular game?
I do. I think we just sneaked over. Did Hickey get runs?
Hickey got 100 from 104 from 133 as England posted 279 for 4. The Netherlands 230 for 6. Phil de Freitas 3 for 31. Pieter Martin 2 for 42. And Coffey took his figures home in a wheelbarrow. 3 overs for 23. What were you playing at, man?
Wow. Who got after me there? Was it the opening batter, or did I bowl first change? Or?
I can check if you want me to.
Was it the game that someone vomited on the field?
That was Neil Smith.
Was that the game he vomited on the field? I've got a feeling it was.
Well, was it UAE?
Oh no, you're right. It might have been the UAE.
That was in the UAE at the World Cup. Yeah.
He had pizza.
Oh really? Okay, so
we all saw.
Right, we're having an unofficial drinks break because Phil Salt is changing his bat.
Just one thing on that, the power play there, 10 over 67. I've just been around it now. I think the target there from England would have probably been around 80 or 90. I think that's what they would have been looking at that first power play, depending obviously wickets you use, but it looks a decent pitch against the Netherlands. I think they would have been looking around that 75 to 90 mark. So they've just fell short of that, but they've lost the wicket. Unfortunately, Jason Roy, but Phil Salt has played beautifully. He's played some good shots. I've been impressed with him this year, actually. From the couple of times I've seen him, he's tidy behind the stumps, and he can give the ball a good whack.
Dawid Malan will be on strike, placing Peter Seelaar once again. Now the fielding restrictions are loosened as we've completed the first power play. And Seelaar will be able to have the scouts just a little bit further spread. He's going to be over the wickets, continuing to the left-handed Malan. Oh, that noise reminds me. I'll tell you after this ball. Seelaar is in, outside the off stump, and Dawid Malan has gone for the reverse sweep and I think has missed it. And Edwards, the keeper, has seen what he's trying to do and has moved and has gone too early. And it's actually gone just wide of off stump for 4 byes.
Unbelievable bit of cricket, actually. I mean, clever from the wicket keeper, he's seen Malan go down early, he's tried to get there to cover it, but Malan's missed it. And guess what? There's no wicket keeper there, and it goes away for 4 byes.
Edwards back in position. This is roundabout leg stump for Dawid Malan. Hit to long on for a single. Yes, so as I mentioned, we are at the very end of the Schiphol runway, so we're going to get a lot of plane noise throughout the day. And those with us for the West Indies games, Neil Manthorpe invented a new game called Name That Plane, where he tries to name where the plane has come from or going to just from the noise it makes. So stand by for that one, folks. I'm sure Manners will be playing that throughout the day. Oh, Salts takes one from outside of off stump, just lumps it down to Boissevain at long on, takes a single. 73 for 1.
As we go along, you're going to see plenty of those type of shots from this England batting lineup. Always entertaining. They play kind of a T20 brand of cricket in 50 overs. That's the way they've gone.
Seelaar into the left-handed Malan. That's timed beautifully. He's just waited on that off the middle of the bat, flicks it into the mid-wicket region, and Van Beek will do the fielding. Single taken, 74 for 1.
Well, that noise, it's definitely come on from a long way away. I'm going to go Mauritius.
Oh, blimey, you've gone
Marley. Yeah, I reckon that's where it's come from, that one.
Right, well, you and Manners together later will be a lot of fun. Salts turns it to square leg. Single fields, they'll take a single. 75 for 1. Yeah, we had quite a long rain delay in one of the West Indies Netherlands games, so Name That Plane was a bit of a saver, if I'm honest.
We were on a different runway as well, because it felt like they were literally going into the microphone.
Yes. Beaten outside of off stump this occasion by Malan. And there is no run to finish the 11th over. Seelaar was in, just a little bit wider, maybe a little bit quicker too. End of the over, he's now bowled 3, gone for 20. And England's still 1 down. Jason Roy, the man dismissed by Shane Snater for a single off of 7 balls. England 1 for 1 after 1.5 overs. But they're going along now. Phil Salt, 40 not out. Dawid Malan, 25 not out. Darren Goff.
Yeah, good start from England. 75 for 1 off 11 overs. Malan 25 of 28. Salt 40 from 31. So two players who have had a good start to the season. I've been close on to Dawid Malan. Some of the shots and some of the innings he's played for Yorkshire this year have been outstanding.
Delayed to start the 12th to Phil Salt. Short ball. And Salt takes it on, and it actually balloons through to Edwards. So much so that they will call it as a wide on height. 76 for 1.
I don't think he's quite got the hang of the bouncer yet. The leader, just a little bit short. Well, a lot short. You've got to get that. You've got to get the batsman playing it chest high.
22 years of age, as the leader, still learning. This occasion he goes in and brings Salt forward defensively, back to the bowler in his follow through, no run.
I like his energy, I really do. Nice approach to the pitch. He's got a good solid action. Probably skids onto the bat. So I can see he's can have an effective bouncer, but he's just got him too high at this moment in time.
Well, Ryan Tendercarter told us he had a few injury problems and has sort of needed to do a bit of his work on his act ball that's flown through. Salt beaten, and keeper Edwards takes it in front of his face, no run. And I mean, if you go to the various stats website, they actually list Basdelader as right arm medium. Well, he's a good deal quicker than that now.
He's skiddy. And they can be very difficult to face, especially in one-day cricket. Skiddy bowlers, they can be quite effective, and he's definitely getting a bit of bounce, got a bit of pace off the pitch as well. So I think he's got a solid action. I'm really impressed with his action.
Here he comes once again. Salt solidly in behind this, and the bowler will field in his follow through, and there is no run. 76 for 1 here on TalkSport 2. England batting first, halfway through the 12th over. By the way, just to mark your card, Sunday's second game, we're over on TalkSport. So make sure you've got your apps sorted out and whatever, or your DAB radio. Just get them on the presets, numbers 1 and 2, nice and easy to remember, because you'll need TalkSport for Sunday's second game. Salt waiting, hammers over point, caught, no, dropped. The man on the boundary got hands to it. Now, should that have been held? It looked like it was straight to Snater, but he's not able to take it. It's gone to grass. I mean, Salt hit that hard, really hard. Snater doesn't have to move that far to his left, and is not going to want to see a replay of that. I'm sorry, that's got to be taken. It's 2 runs as well.
Well, poor delivery.
And worse fielding. Salt mistimes a off drive, and it will just dribble to mid-off, and there's no run.
I mean, when you come to it, it was a poor delivery, poor execution of the shot, and an absolute nightmare in the outfield. Yes, he was travelling. Yes, he was slightly to his left. But at this level, we're talking international cricket, you've got to catch that. A big, big opportunity for the Netherlands to get back into the game. Because at this rate, England are just too much on top at this moment in time.
Leede to finish the over. Oh, hammered by Salt into the leg side. 1 bounce, 2 bounces, and then rolls over the rope up wide mid-on. And that is the extra delivery from the over. The first ball wide from the bouncer, and the extra one disappears for 4. England 82 for 1 after 12 here on TalkSport.
Well, what happens there is from Dawid is just been bowling the same length, ball after ball after ball. So what happens there, Phil Salt just set himself up, he's waited for it, and he's picked it in front of square quite easily actually. It was a fantastic shot. And that's the art of batting. Picking the bowler's length, and if you're going to keep it in that same length, you're going to eventually hit him to those areas. Fantastic shot.
They always say in games like this, Goffey, don't they, about the fielding. Malan, first ball of the over from Seelaar, hits on the foot, given out to LBW. Umpire Rizwan Akram raises the finger. Malan has gone on the reverse to the left arm spin of Seelaar, and it's 82 for 2, and they are going to review it. There's a long discussion. It's all about whether he's got a nick on it, because he looks bang in front of him otherwise.
Yeah, just picked the wrong ball, wasn't it?
To director, we have a clear review for LBW. The original decision is out. I have checked the front foot. It is a fair delivery. Can I have the front on, please?
Dawid Malan, like everyone else, looking at the big screen. Does his innings end on 25?
Waiting on front on.
Right, so now we get the first replay.
The ball is close to the bat. Can I have a catch, please?
His ball looks like he's got under the bat.
Yeah. Waiting on ultra edge.
Might be a question if it's brushed the glove on the way through. His hands are really low.
Still waiting on ultra edge.
The technology is not going to be that quick today, it would seem. We've seen one replay and we're still waiting now for the process to go through. So while they're doing that, just to finish the point we're making, fielding in games like this, Goffey, is so key. You know, you can be outgunned as a bowling department, and you know you can be not as good as a batting unit, but actually fielding, taking catches, that is something you can control. You know, coaches talk about controlling the controllables. That's one thing you can do. Right, we're finally going to get the ultra edge replay.
Ultra edge coming up. Keep it rolling, keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Right, the ball is now just getting to the bat. Come on, lads, hurry it up. We've got homes to go to.
Flat line as the ball passes the bat and the glove. Can you bring it to the patch, please?
Right.
Yeah, satisfied, no bat involved. Can you go to ball tracking, please?
Malan's got a problem. I wonder how long this will take. So there's no bat, there's no glove. Dawid Malan now
ball tracking.
has to get it missing because he was given out. So umpire's call goes to the bowler. Wow, this might be the longest review in history. We've only had 3 replays.
Still waiting on ball tracking.
Oh dear me! Anyone know any good jokes?
Are they building it block below block?
Here we go.
Tracking.
Original decision is out. Pitching in line, impact in line, wickets missing. Rizwan, you need to reverse your decision to not out.
Dawid Malan survives.
You're on screen now.
Wow.
You can make the signal now.
Bit of bounce, eh?
I have to say, I would have thought that it wasn't bouncing that high, but Dawid Malan is still there. England are 82 for 1. It remains.
Well, I think that surprised everyone. Eoin Morgan was ready to rock and roll. He was just about walking. walking out of bat. So a lot more bounce. I thought it was a full delivery for it to be going over. Very, very surprising, but it's alive for Dawid Malan. We'll go with the technology. Disappointment for the Netherlands. They thought they got the breakthrough, and it was a big one as well, because we know Malan, if he can bat any length of time, he's going to have a big one.
Seelaar is in, left arm over the wicket, turned around the corner to square leg by Malan for a single. 83 for 1 England. Malan goes to 26 from 30. Salt 46 from 37 comes down on strike. Now he's already taken a liking to Seelaar. Will he carry on doing so? Left arm around. Salt forward respectfully, just pushes out on the offside. No run.
I reckon he's more straight.
Just having another replay, and to be fair, Malan's got a decent stride in, so maybe he's further down than we thought. Salt has got a couple of strides in. He's danced down the pitch to meet this one by Seelaar, and he's hammered it back past the bowl of the 4. And Salt has 50. His second one-day international 50. Of course, the other one coming against Pakistan in those games played last summer when he was brought in almost as an emergency player. His highest score is 60. Well, he's 50 not out from 39, and he'll be fancy going quite a long way past 60 today, I would imagine, Darren Goff.
Fantastic knock, 39 deliveries.
Down the pitch again he comes, this time half bails out of the shot, goes for the punch into the offside to Leede, will field it short extra, no run.
And what's been good about it, he's played all around the wicket. On the leg side, on the offside, down the ground. He's had the sweep shot. He's got the full lot. Fantastic knock.
Final ball of the over then. Seelaar around the wicket, down the pitch comes Salt and goes to the leg side of it, goes inside out to long off and will take a single. 88 for 1 after 13. I'm going to move out the way. Darren Goff will give you some more thoughts, and Mark Nicholas will take over the ball by Paul.
Yeah, you look at Salt, he comes into the side. He's been fantastic for Lancashire, a good signing for them. He's played some good cricket this year in the shorter format. He's got his chance here now against the Netherlands, and he's took it. 51, just 40 deliveries, fantastic batting, 41 deliveries, sorry. And Malan, this partnership now is looking good after that early loss to Jason Roy.
13 overs bowled, 88 for 1, with Morgan, Buttler, Livingstone, Moeen, Ali, Sam Curran, David Willey to come. It was a staggering lineup, and that is a lovely 50 from Phil Salter. And now he drives down the ground. It's terrific stuff. We're watching a little highlights package, and there was a shot there that I must have missed because it's with a gun barrel straight back. Anyway, Goffey, there's just a point I think to be made about Phil Salt, and that is that this is the opportunity, isn't it, with Bairstow away, and he's got a habit of getting in and getting out, of impressing and then in a way letting down those who have trusted him. He's got to make this count now.
Spot on. I mean, the players that could come into this, Joe Root could be in the 50 over side as well, you know. Stokes, Bairstow.
Leede with the ball just back of a length, and Salt is sort of marching into it on the front foot, punches it hard, Kevin Peterson like, to widen it on for a single.
And that's why, Mark, I think for all these guys now, they're going to take this as a huge opportunity. The players are away with the test matches. This has got to be the tour where they've got to stake their claim for a place in that starting 11, because it's such a difficult one. We talked about, didn't we, before start of play, there's so many high quality one day players, and it's going to be very difficult to pick that starting 11, which is a good thing, by the way.
Well, it is. It's a measure of England's strength, as you've pointed out. The leader now, none for 16 into the start of his third over. This is the second ball of it. He's very full, and Malan gets stuck in the crease for once. No move into the ball, and therefore doesn't time it as he wanted towards mid-off. And some sharp fielding saves the single. Quite a challenge this for the Netherlands to hold England off with this lineup. Well, one of the things about such a strong lineup is the freedom it gives the top order. You really don't feel that you're shackled in any way. And that's down the leg side from Leede, who will surely be called wide by Paul Rifle. There's a well-known figure in the game, former medium-fast bowler for Australia, who has become a top-class umpire, laconic character, and a darn good bowler he was too. One of those guys who hit the pitch very hard. When you were batting against him, it jarred the bottom hand. He didn't sort of look quick when you watched him on TV, but he could really hit the bat. The leader again now. Quite a nice orthodox action and an elegant drive from on to mid-off. There's no doubt that Malan has the courage to set his own agenda for an innings. He doesn't follow a format. He doesn't feel the need to accelerate earlier than suits him. And of course he was until recently rated the #1 T20 batsman in the world, and it was in 50 over cricket that he had to make an impression. So here he is unbeaten on 26, and that's a nicely played leg dance for a single out to deep backward square leg. What's the word? Have you been impressed by him, both as man and batsman?
As a cricketer, I think he's unbelievable. The way he plays through the offside, it's just delightful to watch. And he works hard, you know. He works hard. He knows his game inside out. He knows what he has to do. He's not one of them who comes and has 8 hours nets. He likes to have throwdowns. He goes through a specific routine. But he knows, but there's Stokes who probably will come in and he'll be looking to bat in that top 3 in one-day cricket, especially 50 overs. And T20, so he knows he's under pressure and he knows he has to perform, otherwise he's going to be out.
A lovely straight drive from Phil Salt. You won't see a better shot than that. You could watch cricket for a year, but that was perfection.
It was indeed an absolutely fantastic shot, and I've seen this again. The leader struggled with his length. He went a little bit short. That one he's got too full, but Phil Salt straight onto it. Good pitch, hits through the ball, and you're going to get value for your shots here on this wicket, as we've just seen. Wonderful shot.
95 for 1 now. Salt has 56, and he gets a bit lucky. He goes for the cut stroke, and the ball flies off the edge for 4 more. Back-to-back boundaries for England. 99 for 1, 14 gone. And they're flying much as we thought they would.
Well, because we've got off to such a good start now, 99, we no slips in place for the Netherlands, and you have a slightly poor shot, get an edge, and guess what, there's no slips in now because the field are spread.
Now, Sri Lanka made 400 on this ground in a 50 over game. England are 99 for 1 off 14.
Listen, we know what Owen Morgan's like. He sets high targets, and the targets will be high for this England team going over to the Netherlands. As I said, it's a good pitch. It looked pretty short boundaries, and if they get going, there'll be targets in their mind. I would say minimum would have been 350 in the head. If they can get to 400, it'd be fantastic viewing.
Well, it will be
for England.
Philippe Boissevain now into the attack. Ryan Tenderskater is alongside me, slipping on the headphones in his new role as a commentator. Multi-talented man, coaching, having had a stellar playing career. I have to say, I was a great admirer of you, following you from afar. When I came in this morning, you said you didn't think we'd ever met, and that might be the case. Isn't it funny, you have a long time in the game and the odd person just passes you by. I guess I wasn't lucky enough to cover any of your matches, and I'd retired by the time you started. Such is the ignominy of age. Here we go then. Boissevain devolved to Malan. Drives sort of wideish of mid-on, trying to pick the gap, but only ends up getting a single for it. He looks elegant and controlled. At the moment, England get to 100. 100 for 1 now. First ball of the 15th over.
It's an interesting change for me. He's come in for the leg spinner who played in the last game, Sherry's Nadeem, who I thought bowled really well. The Dutch have put a lot of effort into this guy. He's been out to Darren Lehman's academy in Australia. He's been on the last couple of tours, and he has got a lot about him. So it's very exciting to have 2 leg spinners, and it's a great time for him to come on now and change the face of this game.
Comes in again now, and a drive by a sort of slapping drive that time by Salt. Not as elegant as a straight drive in the last over, but he gets a single out of the sweeper on the offside. a lot of wrist spin in the game, particularly the short forms of the game now, which has happened in a period where you became a senior player, really the last 5 or 6 years. Less finger spin making an impression, more wrist spin.
That's spot on, and I thought batting became a lot more difficult in the last 5 years, exactly what you said. I think, wrist spin in any decent side now, you get one, at least two, and they're the guys that change the games now. If not wrist spin, at least mystery finger spin, someone like a Sunil Narine.
Worked away on the leg side, and there's nobody back there behind square, oddly enough. It's a slightly strange field for a leg spinner, so the couple in that for Malan, who's calmly picking spots rather than going big at the moment. Yeah, because mystery spin is the magic, isn't it? And when you've got the field back, it's so different. You're not looking to block, you need to look to take it on, and if you don't read it and you don't pick your spot, particularly if you've got big boundaries, it's hugely effective. Either that or pitches that hold, as Malan works that to square leg for a single. Square leg is sort of halfway back. I've seen it, in the subcontinent where the ball doesn't come onto the pitch, and if it grips and spins as well, it's really hard to get really stuck in the leg spin over any period of time. You feel that eventually a mistake may come. Salter's on strike, he goes back and plays nicely actually with a bit of flourish and picks the gap, the sprawling field, and misses. So the chase is on for Dutt. He does the fielding, flings it in, but there's a couple more.
How difficult the art of wrist spin is, Mark, and for the Dutch to produce two of a decent stand, I think is a great effort. It's a lot of hard work required to bowl wrist spin.
We also know how there's a bit of a, well, actually I was going to say slog, it wasn't really, it was an on drive that went wrong as bottom hand took over, the face of the bat shut, there was no balance in the stroke, but they get a single for it. And so Malan to 31, Salt has 64, England 107 for 1 from 15. Out come the 12th men and the umpires and everybody to bring a drinks break here. And this is Amstelveen, which is the suburbs of Amsterdam, a city that actually I visited for the first time last week. I had 4 days there, and we loved it. I mean, it was just, people were fabulous, and it's such a pretty place. Well, I didn't realise how many canals there were, and the wonderful museums. And I can't say there's much cricket talk, fair bit of football talk. Ajax, of course, major, and then the news that the Rolling Stones had pulled out of their concert because of Mick Jagger getting COVID. They were due to play at the Ajax Stadium on Monday night. They've now moved that to July the 6th. But it's a great place, really interesting, stylish place too.
Yeah, obviously a very old city, and the way it's set up on the canal is really beautiful. The architecture and all the historic things they have going on there. It is a great city, and the people are super friendly. The Dutch and cricket are not synonymous with each other. You go there, and if you say you play cricket, a lot of people assume you mean croquet. The amount of times I've had to explain that.
I didn't have the courage to say that I played cricket, but I was a great cafe culture, isn't there? That the weather was good and everybody is out on the streets. Basically, everybody was out on the streets, and it's either coffee or a beer or a glass of wine or something, and it's fabulously relaxed and interesting place. And as I say, it was the people that amazed me. I don't think I've ever been anywhere with more charming people. Jason Roy went early, bowled by Snater for a single. Salt to 64 from 47 balls. Malan 31 from 36 balls. A reminder of those to come: Eoin Morgan, Joss Buttler, Liam Livingstone, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran, David Willey, Adil Rashid and Reece Topley make up England's side today. We expected Bryden Cast to play, but no. England with the two specialist spinners in Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali, who've had so much success. Then Liam Livingstone adding options with spin. Curran, Rashid and Topley will do the seam bowling. Quite a long drinks break this on a beautiful looking day. What do you make of Holland's attack here? I mean, there's not been much in the pitch. I thought they bowled very well at Jason Roy early on. Not much in the pitch, and now, it looks as if England are taking over rather, doesn't it?
Yeah, obviously crucial to get their wicket up front, but it's going to be a samey attack. Shane Snater's only medium pace. Logan van Beek's probably the quickest they have, and with the lineup they've chosen to go in, they don't really have much to change up here. Delayed is similar, maybe a little bit quicker, but essentially a medium pace, certainly for the English guys. And the point that I find quite interesting at this point is the strike rate between Malan and Salt, and I know it's early days and they're likely to converge rather than go away from each other, but do you think there's still space for an accumulator like Malan?
Yes, I do, but only one, and it'll be Root if he's, available, not Malan, I'm sure. I actually think it's very important. I think that 50 overs, particularly in the age of T20 and the 100, 50 overs is a long stretch, and the modern player can easily forget that, whereas Root's able to bat that time, and I think you need, if you like, that sheet anchor, that glue. Not that he's a slow scorer, because of course few people can control the pace of the game better than Joe Root in any format. I think it won't happen, but in a weaker era of one-day batting, short form batting, I think Root would play in the T20 side as well. But I think with these top-class players, the demands on them, both time spent in the field, but the mental pressure of being in the spotlight, I think the idea that they don't play all three formats is probably a good idea.
This is obviously a 50-over series, and England are gearing up towards the T20 World Cup, so it'll be interesting to see if Malan does look to show that he has another gear, that he can be different to just an accumulator, because I don't imagine that Morgan's going to have an accumulator in his T20 side.
Beek hits the pitch hard, and Salt sprints through for a single. For a minute he had to get his skates on, but actually the fielding wasn't. Singh was a bit unathletic would be the best way to describe it, so there wasn't a threat. He starts off thinking there's an easy run, and then he thinks, oh, I got to go here.
Done their homework was Singh, who missed the fairly easy run-out chance in the West Indies game, which I felt could have swung that game and given the Netherlands a chance to win. But again, that's the lack of exposure to cricket. You can't expect those guys to be athletic fielders like you see across the international spectrum. And this is the reason why the Dutch want more exposure to first-class cricket and cricket against counties.
Beautiful timing from Malan off the back foot, pass back the point, out to square his third man for a single. I like this stat. Where's it gone? 6 times in the last 30 innings. Actually, this isn't the one I like. Where's the one I like? Oh, here we go. England have passed 100 in the first 15 overs in their last 3 innings. 7th time in the last 20 innings they've done it. 115 overs as a benchmark. Wow. That's spectacular. There's a push back from Salt straight to Van Beek, who does the fielding and then tries to shy down the stumps because Salt was out of his ground. But Salt spun and turned and made it, and anyway the throw missed the stump. Salt has a smile on his face as if to say, no, I was in control. The run rate 7 and over, 109 for 1, halfway through the 16th in Amsterdam.
The throw came in left-handed from the bowler, and that just shows what an athlete Logan Van Beek is. A fine basketball player as well, played a bit of rugby.
Same sort of thing there, this time a right-handed pick-up as the ball's punched back at him.
Yeah, trying to show a bit of competitiveness here, I like it. I think this guy has so much more to offer. He wasn't far from the New Zealand setup and actually took a small break from the Dutch team to pursue that option. He's got a lot to give. You watch him bat, he's one of the finest net players. He just hasn't put it all together in the middle, but I don't think he's far off.
Nice scene around this ground, only a couple of stands, they're both full. Big balls again, and that is a mighty strike from Phil Salt. He was on the front foot, but it didn't bother him. He pulled it away almost brutally, I'd say, and it flies over the ropes and then over some pickets behind it into a marquee.
Very similar to the one he bowled him in the power play, same sort of line as well, outside his eye line. He's not learnt his lesson. It looks like they might be pole hunting here. They feel like the only way to slow the ratio is to get a wicket. I don't think that's the best way to go about it. It's a beautiful shot by Salt, so strong on the back foot.
Well, in no way do I mean to contradict you, as Salt tries to force that one off the back foot, but to no avail, and it goes to mid-on, dribbles to mid-on really, he didn't get his timing right. He actually played it off the front foot, didn't he? And I know it's a back foot shot, but, and I'm bringing this up for a reason, he's a sort of a straight-legged, he's a yard out of his popping crease, And that is very much the modern way to bat, to come at the ball. In the old days, when you were brought up on uncovered pitches, you'd be playing back a lot. And if you pulled off the front foot, you were unusual. There weren't many who did it. There was a very great old English player, Tom Graydon, who was the best known for it. But that way of pulling the ball now, you come at the ball, you sort of almost meet it with your eyes, and then you hit it pretty flat off the front foot, much more a pull than a hook, is the way a lot of the guys go about it. And I think covered pitches and even bounce is one of the reasons you can do it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right to point that out. And you can see he almost finishes just on the front foot there, all his weight forward. Would you say Kevin Peterson was someone who made it prominent in the early 2000s?
That's a nice stroke, whipped away, but in fact picking out the fielder behind square. Malan is now facing the leg spin of Boissevain, who's a young looking fellow with blonde hair, a fresh young face, looks like he's out of school and eager as he comes in with 61 on his back, and back goes Malan, who works the space on the leg side very well. The square sweeper comes in quickly, reacting to that, anticipating it, and therefore stops the second run. Sorry, you asked a question.
Yeah, I was saying Kevin Peterson certainly made it prominent in English cricket, but someone like Ponting, I guess, was the same.
Well, I can talk about both, actually. Here's Boissevain again, and he beats Salt well there. Salt goes to cut with a bit of overspin on that. And in fact, the ball's a touch too full to play the cut stroke, so he got beaten. And a dot ball, a rare dot ball, 116 for 1. We're halfway through the 17th over. Now he goes to sort of flat slog it out to mid-on. He was on the boundary, and there's a single. 4 balls of this over gone. We'll come to the last. After the last 2, I'll come to answer that question. Malan 33, Salt 72 from 54 balls. Blistering stuff from the Lancashire player, once of Sussex, of course. Boissevain again, and forward Malan just pushes it back to him for no run. Nice bowling this. I'm really impressed with his temperament. Don't think he looks like a big spinner of the ball to me, but he gets plenty of overspin, and he's clearly up for the contest. Comes again.
On it, yes,
and works up square leg for no run. So pretty tidy over, actually. 117 for 1. Peterson was interesting. He loved to walk at the bowler and pull off the front foot, but against Brett Lee in 2005, he stayed back, particularly in that famous assault at the Oval. And he took him on after lunch, when England were in that slightly iffy position. We're sort of half batting to save the game and secure the series, but if we get bowled out, there could be a run, and he just took the game away from Australia after a conversation with Michael Vaughan at lunch, but he was mainly back then. Ponting had the forward press as his trigger movement. A modern player, the equivalent of that in the old days would have been the back and across trigger movement, but from the forward press he could spring back. And was very good at it when he was hooking, had very quick feet. But as his career went on, as that's a length ball from Beek, and Salt just pushes back to him for no runs, and 3 dot balls in a row now. As Ponting's career went on, he pulled more off the front foot. He hooked less and pulled more off the front foot. He got out the way of the real quicks, maybe because his eye was not quite as quick as when he was a young guy. And he was absolutely brilliant. He was sort of half forward, I'd say, from the forward press position, and could hit it down in front of square, or could pick his spot and go up and over behind square. Lovely flat cover drive. It'll be stopped out on the square cover boundary by the sprinting fielder. There'll be a couple in it for Salt, who's really throwing his bat at the ball. With him, you see the finish of the stroke sees the bat almost wrap round his shoulder. And though that was the slower ball, it didn't stop him making the most of the opportunity to score. He was able to hit through it because the bounce is very even here on the pitch at Amstelveen. Here he is again, and Van Beek, who might be the quickest perhaps of the Dutch attack. Did that make some sense to you?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to it. I find it very interesting, and I hope some of the listeners will find it interesting as well. You said as he got older, he was pulling more off the front foot, which would almost mean that he's closer to the ball if you think of relative terms.
Yeah.
But
well,
I guess what you're saying is that he was leaving the quicker bowlers, not
correct.
taking it on.
And I think there were less quicker bowlers around. Fewer, I should say, quicker bowlers around. And fast medium with movement. There was more of that around. So, take Anderson and Broad would be good examples from England. Vernon Philander and, from South Africa, there were people who would bounce in that he could pull off the front foot. Malan goes back and pulls, and it stopped. So well stopped by the sliding fielder out of deep backward square leg. Only a single there then. So 1-2-1 for 1, and I have to say they've just not put the brakes on England, but they've certainly stopped the stem of the flow of boundaries, and that is great for morale. A bunch of singles you can cope with when you're out there. England, of course, will feel, well, they're not even at 20 overs yet. They're not even at 18 overs yet, so they've got plenty of time to play with. We wondered earlier whether 400 might be their target. We wouldn't rule it out, as that's worked off his hip by Phil Salt for a single out to deep backward square leg. Lovely throw, comes in right over the top of the stumps on the bounce. And one ball left in this 18th over as Van Beek has a look around the field and decides if that square leg field is exactly right. I'd say he was if he's going to bowl that length, but not if he's going to bowl any shorter than that. Malan has 29. All the players choose their numbers, of course, these days. Malan's got 29 on his back. Joe Root, unsurprisingly, has 66. I don't think I need to explain that. We've got a shot of the England dugout there, and much laughter from Livingstone and Curran, two of the young guns of English cricket, as that's pushed to extra cover for no run by Dawid Malan. Another word from Ryan, and then I think Neil's ready to rock.
I just want to elaborate on your assessment of Boissevain, the leg spinner. You're spot on. He's not a big turner of the ball. He's got a googly as well. What I find most interesting is you alluding to his composure and the sort of hurdle that he's had in his short career, certainly in international cricket, is when he started badly, we've lost him. So you find if he gets through his first 3 or 4 balls, he's fine. If he starts with a drag down or a full toss, he's really lost. So he struggles with confidence, and again, that's probably from the exposure to a lot of cricket and to the way you go about constructing an over of leg spin. Ryan Campbell obviously doing a lot better now, but still not directly involved, and all I can think is a fresh look at it from Ryan Cook, who knows a great man manager might be making a difference here.
Boissevain once again, driven down the ground towards long on Vikramjit Singh fields, and then take a single. A bit like when you hit your first drive, like round of golf out of bounds.
Exactly, I normally start the other way around. The first one's good and it gets progressively worse, so not a good case in point, that one, man.
You always start every round of golf with high hopes, don't you? You hit the first one out of bounds and you think that's it, it's the whole round gone. I guess that's the cricketing leg spinning equivalent. Here is Boissevain, he's bowled very well. Down the wicket, driving in the air, and falls just short of Vikram Singh. At long off. Momentarily thought that might carry, but a single to Dawid Malan, who's on to 35. Phil Salt has 77. Only one List A century for Phil Salt. It was back in 2019 for Sussex against Kent.
Oh, I'm really surprised by that. I guess he wouldn't have played any List A cricket last year with the 100 coming in, possibly in the COVID year as well, so you can take 2 years out of it, but still for a player of his quality to only have one is
short and wide, and Phil Salt steps back to cut, and it was a leg spinner spinning further away from him, and he reaches for it, can't reach it, and Rizwan Akram, the umpire, says it's a wide.
Just on that last ball, man, I was just about to mention this, something about his technique.
Short pull down the ground, straight back over the bowler's head, down towards the boundary. It will be cut off. Actually, very, very well fielded by. Couldn't see who that was. Aryan Dutt. Yes, Jared.
So he has a very Boissevain has a very weak front arm for a leg spinner, and so what that means is he's not really pulling through the ball. So the consistency of line and length is always going to be an issue for him. It's a technical flaw.
Boissevain once more, punched off the back foot, just beats mid-on, down towards long on. Vikram Singh fields again, another single.
So you can see his front arm basically goes up, but it also almost just goes up without really doing anything. It's not doing any of the hard work. And if you're a leg spinner and you want to consistently bowl the ball, that front arm has to be more strong than the back arm, essentially, and that's why he has trouble with the length. I think that will be a problem until he can work it out.
Boissevain in once again, and it's just pushed by Malan out towards the offside, no run. Pretty tidy given the circumstances, though. Given the, I mean, he's put the brakes on quite nicely. I like his dip, Jared. I mean, he's got lovely flight and dip, hasn't he? If not so much turn. Boissevain in once again, and that is punched away by Malan to long on. Fielded by Musa Ahmed. They go through for another single.
He bowls a lot like young Cameron White. Cameron White's probably was a slightly bigger athlete, a little bit wider in the chest, but Cameron White, when he was young, bowled a very similar kind of leg spin, very front on, could spin the ball both ways, didn't spin it that much, but the ball would drift in the air quite a lot, and it would sometimes drop. Unfortunately, over the years, he got really good at batting and thought leg spin didn't really matter to him anymore. But when he was young, he was a very, very good bowler, Cameron White. So from a technical point of view, he looks like that. But if he's not spinning it a lot both ways, especially if he's going to be good in one-day cricket, I think he's going to have to fix that front arm and make it a little bit more consistent. In T20 cricket, it doesn't matter as much because the surprise short ball usually can get you wickets. But in T20, in one day, they'll just pick him off when he bowls short. When he dropped short, they literally had enough time, was it Salt, to go over mid-on because they knew that the mid-on was up in the circle. That's, you can't be in a situation like that. With leg spin, you kind of want it, if you bowl a bad ball, that they're just going to try and smash you out to deep mid-wicket. Not that they have enough time to have a look at that. So I just think that front arm it's probably something I think Tendo was saying before he went out to Darren Lehman's academy, so he would have worked with people like, I don't know, Peter Sleep and the guy Craig Howard, the guys who've worked with the Australian spinners a lot. Everyone would have told him the same thing. If you get that front arm really strong, you'll be able to land it on a consistent length.
Aryan Dutt, the 19-year-old off spin, is into the attack, and first delivery is angled down the leg side, swing and a miss from Phil Salt. He remains on 80 from just 61 deliveries. It's quite strong, Aryan Dutt, physically tall as well, well over 6 foot. Just looking through, he doesn't get particularly side on, no sort of great hip rotation. Driven down the ground towards long on, Vikram Singh fields. Why am I talking technical? Shut me up.
Big part of the game. I think Aryan Dutt was one of the big finds in the West Indies series for me. He was someone who's been on the peripheries for a while. Obviously got Curran out, I think, all 3 times, if I remember correctly, Manners, in that series.
Yes.
And he can bat as well. Again, probably going to end up being a number 7, number 8. But at associate level, he looks like someone that could be very, very handy.
On the spin past him,
David Malan, 37 not out. Phil Salt, 81. 131 for 1. Jason Roy, the man, out for a single in the second over. Aryan Dutt in again, short and wide, and cut by Malan. Cut very hard, very powerfully behind square for 4. Been a dearth of boundaries recently. The KNBC, the Netherlands Cricket Board, were hoping for a full house on at least one of the 3 days. Most likely Sunday, but possibly today, and there are over 3,000 England supporters who've made the trip. How about that's a great long weekend, isn't it? Friday, Sunday, back Sunday night.
Yeah, I was just chatting to Mark before there about what a great city Amsterdam is. You can throw a bit of cricket in with it. For a cricket fan, you couldn't ask for much more.
Aryan Dutt in once more. Pushed out towards cover. There was just a shot on our screens of some of the sites and tourist destinations in Amsterdam itself. The Rijksmuseum, it is I remember punched off the back foot out towards the man sweeping on the cover boundary. A couple of years ago, took my 2 daughters to Amsterdam with my wife, and thought we'd pop into the Rijksmuseum because that's what you do. For a couple of hours. Well, they were only 15 and 13 at the time. We spent the entire day there, and they asked us if we could go back the next day. They were really into their art at the time. There's far more than art in the Rijksmuseum. That's swung away off the inside edge out towards Deep Square Leg, and there's Rembrandthuis and the Bulldog.
Yeah, that Rijksmuseum area, the museum plain, is one of my favourite areas of the city, and I haven't spent a lot of time there recently, but it feels like almost every time I've been there it's been under cloth, doing some renovations. So to see that graphic you just mentioned in all its glory in the sunshine there, it looked really smart. Another thing you're guaranteed to get from the Dutch cricket community is good hospitality. You can see them all sitting outside in front of the gazebos and the makeshift tent that they put up there for this week. It's a massive week for them. And I really hope it goes off smoothly. It's a great crowd for the first game, considering it's a weekday as well.
The amount of work that's gone into this tour is phenomenal. So many people working behind the scenes, unpaid volunteers. Here's Pieter Boissevain, the leg spinner again, punched off the back foot once more, well into the middle overs now. Remember that every single game another plane goes overhead. That's IB 323 to Malaga. 138 for 1 in the 21st over. But there's hospitality areas, and Boissevain in once more. Lovely dip, but no dip on the drive, straight drive from Dawid Malan, which has gone straight back over the bowler's head for 6.
Yeah, overpitched right under the nose of Dawid Malan. He doesn't miss out there. He's held his length well, and what Jared was saying about when you do bowl into the deck, you don't want batters to have time to sit back, and the ball before I thought was brilliant, just back of a length and skidded through. He's full again there.
Clips off his toes down to long on. Through they go for another single.
I think that was a wrong one as well.
Yeah, I think he's trying to bowl the wrong ones to the lefty, the majority of them in any case, but like you said, not much turn.
He's thumped into the side screen, straight back behind the bowler. Boissevain in once more, and Philippe Salt drives down the ground towards long off, and through they go for another single. Should the Netherlands be slowing things down a little bit? They're cracking through their overs, and it worked for the last 3 or 4 overs, didn't it? Or 4 or 5 overs. But once the boundaries start flowing again, you just sort of wonder whether you want Boissevain to just slow down a little bit and just compose himself. This is pushed away by Malan up towards cover. No run. Seelaar fields.
Yeah, they are sailing through, and one of the things I picked up from the broadcast, just as they're walking out, I heard Pieter Seelaar, the captain, addressing the team, and he said, "Slow it down, boys," is one of the things he said.
I thought so. Flipped away behind square on the leg side, straight to the fielder, Dutt, and there's no run. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the over rate. You're cracking along. England 146 for 1 after 21 overs. But, I mean, it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. You know, you rattle through your overs and the batsmen are a bit hurried, but other times you just want to sort of slow it down, and sometimes the batsmen get into a rhythm rather than the bowlers. Boissevain now, his first 2 overs cost 10, his second 2 have cost 18, 4 overs for 28, 6 bowlers used so far. A reminder that this is the first of 3 one-day internationals. It's a World Cup Super League series, every single delivery live, exclusive, ball by ball, on the TalkSport network today, Sunday and Wednesday next week. Dawid Malan 1 away from half century, 49, and Philippe Salt has 84. Jason Roy the only wicket, bowled by Shane Snater for a single off 7 balls in the halfway through the second over. Here is Aryan Dutt once again. Down the wicket comes Salt, using his feet, driving past mid-wicket down to long on. Vikramjit fields 147 for 1. Spin at both ends. Should just let you do the ball by ball and the analysis.
I'm reluctant to make a score prediction after my India-South Africa. I got it so wrong, but I'd love to hear what you think, and Jared as well, given that they're 147 for 1 of 21.
Here's Aryan Dutt once again, and it's punched off the back foot out to the sweeper on the cover boundary, bars to Leede. All right,
Sorry, man,
I'll
I just interrupt you there.
Yep.
It's bizarre that we feel like they put the brakes on, and yet they're still 148 for 1 after 21 overs. I mean, it just shows where the game has gone. You know, that in traditionally you'd set up, you'd want to be somewhere like 80 for 1, 80 for 2 of 20, and then you go from there, platform. But the game has been transformed so much in the last 5 or 6 years since that cycle after the 2015 World Cup.
Here's Aryan Dutt, the off spinner. Short, pulled away out towards deep backward square leg, and it's beaten the fielder, Musa Ahmed, and that's 4 more. Okay, I'll go first, Jared Kimber. I was thinking 382, but I'm going to go 402 for 6.
Well, I have to pick wickets as well. Wickets don't matter, no one cares. They've got a guy who's made 10 first-class hundreds batting at number 10.
Yeah, you know ODI's work. If the scores are the same, it comes down to wickets lost. So you might want to.
I thought it was boundaries. You have to talk to New Zealand about that.
It's wickets first, isn't it? And then boundaries, or is it boundaries first, then wickets? Anyway, chuck them all in there.
That single brought up Dawid Malan's 50 from 54 deliveries as Philippe Salt punches away out towards cover.
I think if you look at the runway, they should make around 420 if they push on the way that they should. However,
Aryan Dutt is in. Salt drives this one straight back to the bowler. That's well bowled, well fielded. I'm looking forward to this, however.
well, I just think because the pitch is maybe a little bit slower, you might get a couple of players come in and try and accelerate too soon later on. So if they do lose any wickets, they might lose a couple in a bunch just because guys will come out and see, 80 mile an hour, 75 mile an hour seam bowls and think, I'll hit everything over deep and book it for 6 and hit a couple up in the air. But I think 420 is probably where they would be aiming if, without being able to see Nathan Lehman's laptop. Although we might be able to see it today because it's just on the balcony, isn't it? So maybe if the cameras can get around the side. But I would assume that's what they'd be looking for.
It was a Boeing 747.
Sure.
It's gone ahead. Yep, it's much louder than the Airbus's.
I haven't heard any Dash 8s. Of course you've been on a Dash 8. They have a Dash 8 from Cape Town to Port Elizabeth. They also have a Dash 3. It's my favourite plane in the world.
Made in Canada, aren't they? Canadair.
I think so, yeah.
Philippe Boissevain to the left-handed. Dawid Malan, a little reverse tickle. And he's played it beautifully down towards the boundary. Tom Cooper is chasing after it. He'll come back for 2. There's a reverse sweep, switch hit, reverse paddle, and this was a reverse tickle. Didn't try to hit that at all, really, did he? Just the gentlest of touches down what becomes the leg side with the reverse sweep. Malan moves up to 52, 154 for 1. As Boissevain around the wicket, bowls to Malan. It's a no ball. It's driven down the ground out towards extra
crease. He was flirting with it, and that's very unlucky. He's cut across the
back foot no ball, isn't it?
Yeah, back foot no ball.
Because you don't see no balls called on the field, and I think that's why it was called, is because it was so obvious. And the first ball, I think, might have been a back foot no ball as well. And the umpire, he wasn't sure, so he was waiting.
He was close. That's an obvious one. I saw that.
You said he'd been flirting.
Yeah, the one before, like Jared said, is very close. But look at that. It's a long way over.
Goodness me. Yeah, he's cut the line with the back foot. His front foot's landed well outside the return crease. It's a very obvious no ball. So free hit and 4. Vikramjit Singh unable to. It's a very good effort. It's a very good attempted stop.
That's just inexperience. My assumption is he probably hasn't bowled around the wicket to left-handers very much because he has that wrong end. The wrong end hasn't been working, so he's trying around the wicket to change the angle, and in doing that, probably just hasn't spent enough time bowling around the wicket to left-handers, would be my guess.
I don't think that's 4. See what the signal is, yeah? No, that's an incredible bit of fielding, that. Wow.
I thought the ball had rested on the right.
No, that's a great stop.
That is a very, very fine stop. That's a brilliant piece of fielding from the opening batsman, Vikramjit Singh, who is so impressive against...
Phil Salt just questioning that, but I think like you did, man, as he thought it hit the rope, but it clearly didn't.
Slog sweeps, free hit, and Dawid Malan goes for the slog sweep, misses it, hits him on the pad. The scoreboard's actually showing 4 no balls. I don't know, or 4. So I think he signalled 4 and then the no ball. Here we go. Here's a replay. I thought the ball is a brilliant stop, and then I think the ball hit the rope. But you're right. I don't think it did. I think that's a miscall. Oh, they've changed it now. Okay, so we had the scoreboard had it wrong, the umpire had it right. Malan punches one out on the onside for a single, moves to 55. Phil Salt has 89 from 71 balls. So the scoreboard operators gave it as a 4, the umpires didn't. Scoreboard operators were ahead of the umpires, and they've all corrected themselves now, so they actually went for 2. It was a brilliant stop from Vikram Singh. Slog sweep from Phil Salt, and he misses it. Nicely taken by Scott Edwards, keeper. Takes bails off, a polite inquiry, but the back foot was rooted well behind the crease there. Philippe Salt. There's no question of him nursing his way to 100. He's still playing full repertoire of strokes, and Salt now 89 off 72 balls. Dawid Malan has 55. You look at the artillery to come for England. Goodness gracious me. Josh Buttler next, probably Eoin Morgan, Liam Livingstone, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran, David Willey. It's endless. Chopped away behind square on the offside, out towards the sweeper. Baz de Leede, and they go through for a single. It's not quite endless, because Adil Rashid, he's coming in at 10. He's got 10 first-class hundreds. Reece Topley at 11. Where would Darren Gough and Steve Harmison rate Reece Topley's batting? Hello, gents.
About same as us, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought you were going to ask where we would fit in there. I'd probably say number 11.
Boissevain in once again. Last ball of the leg spinners over, and it's cut to Max O'Dowd at point, and there is a rare dot ball. England rattling along at 7 and over, put into bat, 23 overs gone, 160 for 1.
Well, the thing is here, I mean, you normally get to 30, and you say whatever the score is after 30, you can just about double it. So that target's there for England. We've talked about earlier on in the commentary about 400. Is it a possibility? We know Eoin Morgan's an hard taskmaster. He sets the team ridiculous targets, which they've achieved most of them. And I would say in between that 350 and 400 will be the target without a doubt today on this pitch. And what a start they've had. I mean, Malan and Salt have played beautifully.
It'll be interesting to see if the wicket slows down because of the sun baking on it, and whether it does get slower and harder to score. But at the minute, 400 looks a possibility.
Punched off the back foot through extra cover. They go rattling through for 1. They'll come back for the second. Baz de Leede does the fielding, and a very good piece of fielding. There's a collision as Malan gets back for the second run. He collides with keeper Scott Edwards. Excellent fielding from Baz de Leede. Malan realised he could be struggling, so had to change gears and accelerate in order to make his ground, and innocent collision, but everyone seems to be fine.
He's not the quickest, Malan. I will give him in that. Having seen him close up, he can be a little bit dozy at times as well. He's got a little chuckle on there, though. That's such a relief. But he had to make sure he got in there. He knows it's a good opportunity to get a big score here, but absolutely brilliant.
TalkSport are at Ascot. Been at Ascot all week, and Dawid Malan was whipping that from about 10 yards out, wasn't he? He was slapping his backside, trying to get his legs going, trying to get to the crease.
Here's Aryan Dutt again, and driven off the back foot by Malan. I'll say that the very first one-day international held here at the VRA ground, Sri Lanka made 443 for 9, which is then a world record. Sanath Jayasuriya chipped in with 157. Here is Dutt, drags one down, and it's cut by Malan to the cover sweeper. De Leede through for another single. What do you mean make 400s on? They'd be disappointed if they didn't get to 400 from here.
Absolutely. But sometimes when you get a wicket and the sunshine and it just slows down a little bit, it becomes harder and harder to score as the two balls get softer. But these two new balls from either end, they don't get as soft as what they used to, so it's not as hard to score. And England, the beauty about this inning so far is, yes, they've played some big shots in Phil Salt, but they have used the dimensions of the ground well and ran well.
Punched off the back foot to extra cover. O'Dowd feels. What chances of a retired out here to get Buttler in at some point?
Oh no, there'll be no retired out, but I think 400 is definitely on. I mean, look at the batting that's got to come with Buttler, with Morgan, with Livingstone, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran, David Willey. All those guys hit it long.
Lovely.
Spun towards leg stump and turned with the spin by Salt for a single. Who's into the 90s. He was on 92.
And I thought Livingstone was one of the biggest hitters in the world, and Buttler, right? But have you seen this lad at Lancashire? Obviously, Dawid, is it?
Yeah, Tim David.
David.
He hits it small, doesn't he?
He just makes them. I mean, there's no ground big enough for him. He's unbelievable.
Tim David, the Singaporean Australian.
He's unbelievable, mate. Honestly.
Saw him in the IPL. Malan drives inside out, steps to the leg side, hits over the offside for a single to De Leede. Yes, Jared, will that lit your eyes up?
Well, Tim David, when he first started playing, so I was working for Scotland, so we had to work out a plan for him, and all the footage is from him playing cricket in Singapore, where he plays a shot and the camera just goes into the sky and you never see it again. I don't know how many he must have crossed the Singapore board more in new balls than he actually did in flying him over there to play.
Well, we had a plan to him.
and none of the bowlers, Gibbo showed them videos and everything where to bowl to him, and guess what, where not to bowl to him. They bowled where not to bowl to him. So when they come over and said, look at where you've bowled it, did you actually watch that video? Because they didn't bowl to the plan, let me tell you, but he does hit a clean ball straight down the ground.
It was incredible. Mumbai dropped him after like 2 games, and we're all going, I think you might want to give this guy just a few more games to get back in. And of course, he absolutely smashed. I think he had a strike rate of almost 200 by the end of the IPL.
He did, yeah, and he batted brilliantly. He batted brilliantly in that Roses game, and there was another game on TV with Seelaar Lancashire. He's just so clean, and to be fair, he's not that big. He's not tall.
Oh, he is strong.
He's tall, but he's not massive. He's not somebody you'd think like Kieran Pollard hits a big ball, and there is a lot of Kieran Pollard. He's not like that. But somebody
more lanky.
Yeah, he's more lanky than anything else. He's got more of a fast bowler's physique, but he's definitely picked the right discipline to go, because fast bowling hurts, and when you're swinging a bat like that, that doesn't really hurt as much.
You're listening to TalkSport 2, one-day international cricket. Netherlands against England, first of 3 games, all exclusively live on TalkSport or TalkSport 2. And the Netherlands won the toss earlier and put England into bat, and we're 1 over short of the halfway mark, with England 165 for 1. The Netherlands are going to go back to Shane Snater, the man who has the wicket. Bowled Jason Roy in the second over of the match. For us, England were 1 for 1 then, and Snater's now going to bowl his 5th over. He's around the wicket, a little off-break ball that Malan has turned to short fine leg. They'll take a comfortable single. England 166 for 1.
So, having watched a lot of cricket this year, that is definitely the go-to ball from a lot of play. When the ball is flying around, the slower ball just comes out too often in my book. I just think it becomes too predictable, and he starts there with that slower ball. He's been the pick of the bowlers, but he's also the one who dropped Salt as well at backward point. But it was a big wicket to get Jason Roy. Imagine if Jason Roy was still in.
He's on his way once again. Right arm over, Salt's so easily plays that to the fielder Vikramjit Singh long on for a comfortable single. 93 from 77 Salt has.
Yeah, he bowled nicely at the start, I thought, in the power play. When bowled into the sort of stumps as opposed to taking the ball away from the stumps, the right-hander. I thought it was a difficult catch he dropped. One in international cricket, which you'd say should have been taken. It seemed as though he got there a little bit too early, and it hit him before obviously he sort of managed to get his hands in the right place.
Snater in again, round the wicket to the left-handed Malan. Malan uses the angle, puts it to Musa Ahmed, the man at long on, single taken, 168 for 1.
I think since Malan tried to play that reverse sweep and he got away with one there, I think I still can't get that, but that was missing, the full ball. But he's realised since, but this is an opportunity for him now just to score at a runner ball and end up with 150 not out here quite easily, and let the other players at the other end play the shots. And I think that's the way England are going now. That's what it looks like. Malan's to stay there while the rest of them play around him, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Snater over the wicket to the right-hander Salt, working past the fielder at short mid-wicket. Vikramjit Singh at long on will field, single taken. Salt goes to 94 from 78.
And to be fair to Dawid Malan, he's done that throughout his career in the shortest format of the game. He's gone round about a runner ball till he gets to a position of strength, and then he kicks on and goes beyond the runner ball and gets his strike. He's never going to be somebody who's got a strike rate of 150, 160. But you've got a team, if you know you've got a banker who's going to get you a strike rate of 120, getting 100.
Snater in, short ball, slower ball down the leg side, helped around the corner by Malan, finds the man at short fine leg, and it is just a single, 170 for 1.
And we've both mentioned the artillery that they've got to come in, the powerhouse that they've got to come in, the wickets that they're going to play on in the sort of World Cup or going forward. They probably are going to have somebody who can get off to a decent start in the power play and then drop anchor and bat from one end at a strike rate of around about 120 to give them a chance and everybody else going.
Final ball of the over. Salt throws his hands at this one. It was wide of off stump, and it will fly through the gully region and down for 4. And Phil Salt is one blow away from a one-day international 100 for England. He's 98 not out from 79 balls here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, cross seam from Snater. Salt goes at it. There was a bit of bounce in the wicket from cross seam. And again, a little bit of luck, but throws away for another 4. 174 for 1. Wow, they're off to a flyer here, England. A big flyer.
Halfway mark then, 174 for 1 after 25. The bowling figures: Logan van Beek 0 for 35 from 5. Snater has just completed his 5th, he's got 1 for 30. Seelaar 0 for 26 from 4. Leede 0 for 26 from 3. Boissevain 0 for 35 from 5. And Aryan Dutt is just starting his 4th over of off spin, 0 for 18. Ball into the left-handed Malan. Malan's gone straight down for the reverse paddle. Gets it fine of Seelaar, who is short third man, and gets it fine enough to go away for 4. The boundaries keep on flowing. 178 for 1 here on TalkSport 2.
Great shot that, Macca. That was executed far better than the one that got him into a little bit of trouble. That one there was a little bit more outside off stump. The one that got him in trouble, the LBW shout, the review, pull rifle, give him out, was the one that was a little bit straighter and a little bit fuller. Good shot there by Dawid Malan. Just guided it round the corner. Picked the fielder well as well, Pieter Seelaar.
Dutt then around the wicket once again. Malan stays still this time, hits through extra cover, beats the man at short extra. The cover sweeper will do the necessary. Delayed it, and they'll come back for a couple more.
And that's something that Malan does brilliantly. He's gone for the boundary first ball of the over to dictate to the bowler where he wanted him to bowl. Dutt's gone that bit fuller. He's reverse swept him, knowing that Malan likes to give himself some room, open up the offside, and he's just pierced the field for 2. Very good controlled batting by the England number 3.
Dutt in once again. Malan plays again, pretty much a replica of a shot. This time though, it gets it slightly straighter. Vikramjit Singh long off full field, and it's just a single.
There you go, an orthodox shot as well. That's lovely to watch, isn't it? When Malan plays that shot through the offside, it's elegant. He don't really get his foot right to the pitch of the ball. He just got a lovely bat shape that comes right through. That's when he's playing really well.
Here we go then. Phil Salt 98 not out. Dutt will be over the wicket to him. He's in past the umpire. Salt deep in the crease, punching off the back foot. Bowler just about fields in his follow through. No run. 2 balls of the over to go. Phil Salt, what a start he's had to his England career. He waits, bat raised. Dutt in. That's round about middle and leg, and Salt will take the comfortable single that's on offer to him to long on. Goes to 99, and England go to 182 for 1.
Been a brilliant innings from Phil Salt. The one player who would say there wasn't so much pressure on him, but somebody who coming into the game knowing that probably not going to be the first choice when it comes to be later on in the World Cup, but still you've got to go out and try and perform. And
Dutt is in, round about Malan's legs up. Salt's coming from the non-striker's end, but Malan says no, let's not be silly. So they stay where they are. 26 gone here on TalkSport 2. England 182 for 1. Remember, you can stay up to date with all the latest cricket news by subscribing to the following on podcast. You'll get Harmy, you'll get Neil Manthorpe, you'll get all the latest news, exclusive interviews, the Cricket Collective. You can also hear it on TalkSport 2. You can get it via all good podcast platforms as well.
Let's say, Army, when we talk about this batting lineup, Phil Salt, he's took his chance here because this was a big opportunity for him, because you could easily have gone with Buttler opening the batting. You think about Bairstow to come back, you think about Stokes if he plays white ball. I know he's not going to be probably this year, but where's he going to bat?
Root as well. Root plays in England's best 50 over side for me.
Yep, exactly, but the problem they've got now, and I think that's why Salt did go in, because I think they feel as though Bairstow's going to be on that spot anyway.
Well, he's 99 not out, facing Snater. Short ball, pulled into the leg side for a single. And that is a one-day international 100 for Phil Salt. He's first in England colours. He takes his helmet off, waves it at the dressing room. Phil Salt gets there from 82 deliveries only. He gets a hug from Dawid Malan. England 183 for 1 ball into 27 overs.
Well done, Phil Salt. Left Sussex, gone to Lancashire, gone to sort of try and better his chances of playing for England. It is an unbelievable batting unit to get into this. We've seen glimpses in the Caribbean here on TalkSport 2. in the T20 competition, but in the 50 over competition he just got a fantastic 100.
Malan drives into the covers, can't beat Seelaar at extra cover, and there is no run.
But to go back to what you're saying, Darren, you can only do what's in front of you, and sometimes there's pressure on that, because you know as a fast bowler coming into at the start of my career, coming into a team, if you were injured or Caddy was injured, I'm going, well, I know I'm only going to play one test match because you or Caddy's going to be back next game. This is what Phil Salt's got at this minute in time.
Snater around the wicket to Malan. Malan flicks through square leg and will take a single.
He's going to have 3 one-day games in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, and then the next time they come around, Bairstow's back, Stokes is back, Root's back. He might not even be in the squad, but all he can do is do what he's done, which is brilliant and fantastic, and he enjoyed the celebration, and good on him for doing that, because I actually sometimes think there's more pressure on you when you're in this situation, when people think, well, it's just a free wheel, but it's not, because if you don't perform in this one, you could then, when they all come back.
Snater is in. Salt hits hard all along the floor to long on for a single.
When they all come back, somebody else might get a go ahead of that, so he'll always be there or thereabouts in the conversation, in the reckoning. I think this kid's a good player. I've said it for a number of years now, and fortunately he's got a huge talent, but he's got 6 or 7 more talented players in front of him.
Well, the other thing he's got, of course, boys, is he's actually got the first go in front of the new coach. Matthew Mott is watching, and is, you always talk about the guy in possession. Well, you can't do much more than make 100. Snater is in.